Hello and welcome to Band of Bothers, an actual play Pathfinder podcast. I'm Stephen, the host and DM of this game, and
Season 2 begins as Barlam, Alpheus and Frieda rides their horses all the way to Bathmont. En route, a blizzard starts picking up, and they are forced to take shelter at the nearest inn. But then they meet a familiar face.
Alpheus is like, wait a minute, I know who this is. And he goes, it's that merchant with the bacon sandwich.
His name is Garth. Garth reveals he now works as a stable hand in the inn during the winter period.
Oh, well, at least you've got a job. That's good. Let's go.
So we head inside the inn.
Hi, Barlam. Are these your new friends?
These new friends are a bunch of rowdy dwarves, causing a lot of commotion in the tavern area. One of the dwarves is a prince called Siegfried.
What's happened? I heard a cry.
It turns out Siegfried is lying on the floor, lifeless.
Alpheus bends down to the body and does a heal. I'm seeing if I could ascertain the means of death. Whoever killed him probably killed him on his status rather than actually wanted to rob him.
We found out that whoever the culprit was went briefly into the blizzard and went back. It could still be a variety of people, but the tracks led to a staircase and there are only 4 people up there, 2 of which work in the stable area near the forge, and the mallet was stolen from the forge, so it kind of makes those 2 suspects to me, at least. Alpheus gives Garth a bacon sandwich that he'd made. It's not quite the Bathmont brand bacon sarnie, but it's an Alpheus brand. He puts one hand on his shoulder and does his scariest, doggiest face that he can, snarling, showing his teeth. So where were you really last night? Alpheus sort of goes to the window, inhales deeply and turns around and then uses Entangle on poor Garth. We solved the mystery. Nothing can stop Warlock Barlam and Dr. Alpheus and Frieda.
you guys managed to make it to the city of Bathmont. So you head to the Temple District, looking for the ramshackle Temple of Grazith. Renovations are in full swing.
I wave and say, hey, Dylan.
So as you wave and announce yourself to Dylan, he notices you. Oh, there you are! And he strides over and gives each of you a big bear hug. I hear congratulations are in order, heroes. Look at this. All these refugees from Arrowbrook. Eliso escorted them here, and we've been housing them the best we can. Well, until the roof collapsed a few days ago. Eliso just kind of appeared out of nowhere with this big goblin lass, and she handled all of it. Paid the temple to keep all the refugees there for a week, and gave a donation to cover the repairs. So now the blizzard's passed, the folks of Arrowbrook have all banded together to help us fix this place up.
Oh,
That's good.
We're really glad that you've actually got some people here. I mean, after all, that's kind of what we said we'd set out to do, but it looks like Elisa had it in tow. Proud of her. I miss her.
He opens a drawer and hands you both a scroll. It's like leash exemption forms. So.
Oh, brilliant.
See you later, Dylan.
You swing by the Druid Grove in the Temple District. You find a group of folk gathered around a large bonfire, each sitting on tree stumps or rocks around the fire, laughing and joking. On behalf of the entire Druid community, I'd like to say thank you and congratulations.
We did what we needed to do as druids.
The local master up in the north decided that it was about time that you undergo this ritual.
Wow, which master was that?
Oh, that would be the wolf shaman, Koira.
That's my mistress.
By the blessings of nature and the Druidic saints up high, we, the representatives of the Druidic sect, hereby acknowledge Frieda Taylor and Alpheus Digby, the full title of Druid, along with the privileges and responsibilities that come with it. And with that, you'll gain access to all the benefits of being a full Druid and not just an apprentice. Furthermore, you now have access to what can be best described as a Druid newsletter, so to speak. Druids use it to let each other know what's going on.
So it's basically Druid social media.
It is.
We get access to
So
NatureNet.
During your time conversing, getting to know some of the druids there, you do talk to the aquatic elf, and he does notice that, first of all, you're a half-elf, so he's asking you, like, what family are you from? Do you know your elven heritage?
Well, whenever I ask my mother, she kind of goes quiet. She seems sad. I don't really know anything about my elven father. Just this necklace
He asks to take a look at it. It will have the symbol of the house. So whilst he doesn't recognize the house symbol itself, he does say that if you were to ever go to Suramista, you could probably find whichever family is connected to this necklace. Eventually you leave to get yourself set up in a nearby inn. You'll meet up with Barlam once before downtime to split the loot. Frieda intends to do some charity work, particularly around hospitals or healing centres.
Meanwhile, Alpheus will be asking around to find out if anyone knows about his original name, Smaz Noctura.
Whilst you're not able to find out any information about Smaz Noctura or the Noctura family, you know that you might be connected to Cassandra, who comes from a nation called Pavanoctis or Pavoria. Prior to fairly recent events, it was kind of a mafia-controlled country. There was an official government, but they were either corrupt or puppets that were installed, and quite frankly, the mobs ruled everything. You may have gotten caught up in some mob business that went south, and you needed a new identity. And what better way of forging a new identity than becoming a dogman?
Then Alpheus will write a letter to Cassandra.
Dear Cassandra, or Cassie, greetings, non-doge woman. I hope you've been well. It is I, Alpheus. We met at Mutton Castle a while back. I rescued you and Greg from a ship. I suppose you're wondering why I'm writing to you. Well, I have reason to believe we are related in some manner. As you know, I've been having various dreams and visions from a past life that I don't remember before I became an animus. Well, all this came to a head and I discovered my previous name was called Smaz Noctura, and we remembered that your name is Cassandra Noctura. I also recall you said you were going to the nation of Morlia, hence why this letter has found its way over to you. I hope such information isn't too shocking for you. It certainly was a shock to me. With this information, I suspect you're wondering when I'll come and see you. We have much to catch up on and discuss. Well, fret not. My home since becoming an animus is Wolf Hill, which is north of my current location. As such, I'll be travelling back home to Wolf Hill and then westward to Morlia, where you hopefully are still based. But as winter has hit, I've decided to camp out in Bathmont for a bit. I hope you don't mind. Anyway, I'm sure you and Greg are very busy. See you soon, sister, cousin, mother, whatever relation you are to me anyway. Love with licks. Alpheus.
You do notice there's a lot of people talking about the tournament tomorrow, and you remember that you guys had agreed to taking part in that tournament.
Oh, yeah.
Barlam, you see entering the bar is your old friend Eliso.
Elisa, the best paladin there is, and you shall fight with us.
Alpheus gets out his little stone thing, tweeter, and takes a selfie with it.
Do we have any tricks or advantages we could possibly get?
They might look tough, but look at you and Alpheus. We are buff.
Well, but we're not, like, as strong as, say, mutations or anything. We're just, like, strong as regular people.
Speaking of mutations, we have these cosmic mutation potions, I say, as I bring them out like some kind of doping device for this tournament.
Alpheus sniffs them.
It smells kind of like poo.
What?
Okay, you can have that. To get our minds out of the gutter, I uncork one potion, close my nostrils with one hand, and down the potion with the other.
Your skin starts to turn hard and just for a moment gets a bit of a white metallic sheen to it. You have just gained the white dragon ability Ice Breath.
Wow. So Alpheus shakily sips his own potion.
Your fur whitens a bit. It's like you've got frosted tips.
He's a dog from the 90s, oh god.
You have gained a resistance to cold damage equal to your character level.
I don't like the idea of drinking mystery potions.
What I'll do then is I take 2 potions, open them with both my thumbs, and drink them at the same time.
Oh no!
It hasn't manifested itself just yet. Today is the 39th of Mitchery, which is right at the end of winter, the beginning of spring in Oldwater, and most importantly, it is the festival of St. Grazith. You go to the stadium, you see Dylan there, and it's just like, I left a space open for you. I figured Elisa would find herself a team, so what are we calling you guys? Put your team name down.
Band.
Do we shorten it down to, I don't know, Band of Bodders or something?
Yeah, sure.
I'll watch from the sides.
The first team you're up against are called the Black Wolf Pirates. You guys walk down into this oval arena. You see there's rows of spectators around. Barlam runs forward and with his bow shoots at the little monkey and gets a good shot straight in its chest. Teapot slashes the tall, pretty skinny fella with the wolf mask in the back, and he finally falls over unconscious. An announcer says the band of bothers are the winners. You didn't make it to the finals. It's now getting pretty late. It's the evening. Do you wish to go back to the Drunken Dragon, or do you want to find yourself someplace else? I mean, it is a giant city. There's all manner of drinking establishments.
Something weird and fun.
Roll a dice, see how weird and fun it
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You want to roll?
2.
Who wants
Smash,
to
wow.
Wow.
No, don't let Smaz roll.
Too late. You find yourself in a interesting little part of the town called Little Uralith at a bar. You quickly realize what kind of place this is as a little kobold with a little ball gag in his mouth runs over to you, looking expectantly.
I turn away on my heel.
Look,
and
Barlam,
away.
they have balls here.
The kobold hands you a paddle.
With my ears going bright red, I yank Alpheus's neck and pull him out.
I don't know
I
what's
just
going on,
away.
but okay.
You'll head outside eventually. You buzzed or pissed or whatever state of inebriation you were gunning for. As you're passing through one alleyway, you see it suddenly get blocked off by a couple shadowy silhouettes as you find yourselves surrounded as a familiar voice can be heard.
Well.
Barlam, you recognize this is Walter O'Nally.
Oh no.
Of the crime family.
Who are you again?
My father has been looking for you for a long time, Barlam. You too, Eliso. It's time for Walter O'Nally's revenge.
I'm going to cast Grease under him.
Eliso is not expecting them to be even remotely competent, and he slips a dagger into one of the gaps in her armor.
I clamber on top of Alpheus and I hop to the ledge from there to get to the roof.
Walter is going to stealth.
As he's climbing up, I'll just stamp his fingers, and when he screams, I'll stamp his forehead with the staff.
He falls backward, head first, and hits the ground and is unconscious.
Oof. I'll try and give him first aid the best I can and shout like, he's about to die.
Which alerts Alpheus, of course, who stumble over as best he can.
Oh no.
I stabilized him.
But Alpheus then lands on top of him, causing 4 points of damage.
I hear
Cutting his wounds off to start bleeding again.
I hear a very faint rib crack, and then I tell Alpheus, maybe you should use healing on him.
So yeah, you've got Walter pinned. He's awake now. He's like,
My father will hear about this.
A dagger has appeared in my hand, and I'm twirling it. Really?
My father won't hear about this.
You could be better than your father.
Eliso's like, oh, I've got an idea. She's gonna toss you some manacles real quick.
Alpheus catches the manacles and cuffs Walter and Ellie, I suppose.
Why not drop him off at the temple? See if they can make something worthwhile out of him.
Father, I've come to faith.
You said your dad's a kind of mod boss guy.
The O'Nallys are a crime syndicate that run out of Melititis. In terms of his dad's reputation, yeah, he's cutthroat. He doesn't let anyone disrespect him or his family.
Okay, don't suppose you know the name Noctura, do you?
I can't say I do.
Okay, let's get rid of him.
You head back to the inn that you're staying at, and Elisa will take Walter back to the temple.
I clasp her on the shoulder and say, good girl.
Well, it's been great fighting with you guys again.
It was nice fighting with you again. Alpheus falls asleep.
Snuffles is alright. He's actually stolen one of the legs from one of the corpses. You managed to carefully and slowly switch it out for like a big fistful of jerky. So, Frieda, you now have a severed leg.
Alpheus, you deal with it. It's your...
Alpheus is asleep.
So you put it on top of Alpheus's sleeping body.
He's hugging a leg like,
I'll put a note saying, deal with it.
Morning rolls around.
What are you eating, Snuffles?
Snuffles pokes his head out of the bag and just kind of licks his lip, and you see there's blood around his mouth, and he just kind of goes back in.
Oh, and then finds the note, kind of the bloodied note from Frieda that says, deal with it. And he goes, deal with it? Just deal with it?
it. It's like, how dare she?
You'll wake up in the morning and go on downstairs for some breakfast.
As everyone was meeting downstairs, Alpheus is walking through the hallway and down the stairs, and like in one of the vases, he just sees the severed leg just poking up instead of like a plant or something, because like Barlam's has put it there.
Hello there. Would you lot be Barlam's bothersome band? I have a message for you from the council.
Did you pay the council tax, Alpheus? Come on.
They would like to speak with you, and I've been asked to come and bring you. There's a carriage outside and everything.
Yeah.
Alpheus follows with sausage in his mouth.
This is the office of Mr. Hectoronus Pilicus. He's the one who wished to see you.
Never heard of him.
Sounds like a pillock.
Where did you learn such fucking language?
I learned it from you.
Oh, I wonder.
Anyway, I march in.
Ah, hello there. You are the group that managed to uncover the murderer of the Prince of Cromdor. The prince was resurrected, but escorted back home, and we would like to continue negotiations with him and Cromdor. So this time, we would like to send a diplomat of our own up there to save them the journey. We would like you to escort the diplomat up to Cromdor.
Oh, okay, right. I was just thinking it'd be a bit daffy to use us as diplomats.
Oh, goodness, no.
Goodness, no. No.
Allow me to introduce myself. I am Drog Terragard, and I will be your diplomat today. He's got short orange hair that's well kept, and his beard isn't long. It's actually quite short by dwarf standards, but it is exceptionally well maintained as well. And he's like, so you lot must be the adventurers I'll be traveling with.
Pleasure to meet you.
Let's go down to a nearby drinkery, and we can discuss our plans over drinks. I'll be paying.
If he's paying and he's a diplomat, I'm sure as hell going to the Ritz or the equivalent of...
Let's say it's called Snitz.
Snitz!
Yes.
So it's a place to get knits.
That's the name of the person who owns this place.
Schnitzels get schnitzels, yeah?
There's two good ways of getting up to Cromdor. We could catch ourselves a ferry, probably take us up to Wolf Hill is the closest place, or we could travel overland. That will be longer, but we won't be having to deal with any of the critters that live within the tideless sea.
I would love not to go to the sea.
If I remember, there was this horrible water creature called Tidy or something.
Yes, Tidy. We sell merchandise of him. He pulls out a little plush toy of a water orm.
Can I have that for Snuffles?
Sure. You decided that you want to travel overland as opposed to by sea, and got yourself a new wagon with 2 yet unnamed horses that Drog has taken to calling Maple Stirrup and Horsing Around. As you guys head out off onto the road, you hear a little muffled sound of someone crying out. Ow! Ow! Frieda, you see in one of the trees up ahead, there appears to be someone stuck in a hole in the tree, and their little legs are wiggling around, flailing.
Some idiotic halfling or something has gotten themselves stuck in a beehive. I try and climb the tree. Can I use speak with animals to ask the bees to please? I'm trying to get them out the tree, out their nest.
Bees, let him out.
They want to be together.
Beehive yourselves.
Do you think when it went flying into the tree, he said, "Honey, I'm home"?
I would be reasonable.
You hear millions of voices screaming, "Protect the hive! Protect the queen! Protect the hive! Protect the queen!"
I'm basically saying, sorry about this. I'm trying to get him out your nest.
I cast grease.
Oh, no.
Drog is going to just call up to you. He's like, "Keep up the good work, Frieda. I believe in you."
I just tried pulling by the legs.
I can cast fire there to dry it up.
Oh, God, no.
Please don't.
Yeah, I'll use spider climb then.
Okay, you skitter up the tree like a horrifying humanoid dog spider.
Wow.
Yeah.
Spider doge, doesn't do anything useful. No.
Uses strength, does some stuff.
Make a strength check.
Does a 14, lifts him out, maybe.
You hear a pop as he flies out. So the bees are now swarming.
Oh, get the bees off me! Get them off!
Oh God, not the bees, not the bees.
I summoned swarm of bees to go after the bees.
Wait, what?
Bees.
The addition of yet more bees has made the situation worse.
That's the bee's knees.
Frieda's stinger operation. So Alpheus is gonna drop the gnome, I suppose, and is gonna summon a giant spider, specifically a crab spider, which eats bees.
What's Drog gonna summon? A fat rat. Between the 3 summons, you guys are able to just leg it.
Well, that was interesting.
It was unbelievable. My snoot is so big.
Poor Snoot.
I look at his snoot and giggle a few times.
You guys are getting back into Elder Spell.
It's Elder Spell.
And your gnome friend, who is called Fayers, leads you to the gnome district, where you see a whole load of signs and banners. Oh yes, all those signs are for Ty Snapperback and the fundraiser that's been going on to bring him back to life.
And he died in a fire.
That's right. Don't you want to come round for dinner and introduce you to the wife?
No. The end.
You're passing by close to the edge of the Chopsina Woods, and Barlam, you notice that Alpheus has spotted the largest pile of poop and is rolling in it. Not Alpheus, Snuffles.
Oh, I do hope not.
It is a giant.
Alpheus is just twittering about it on his druid stone thing.
You're saying that today my wolf rolled in giant scat, and there is a sighting of potentially a giant in this area.
It might just be a really big tall bloke round the corner.
You see an update as a particular person just goes, kill them or spare them. It is up to the OP. Regardless, Shopseer is close enough to my domain that I will take care of things if they don't. There's one final update at the end by Koira. It just says, I'm looking forward to seeing you again soon. Do not disappoint me.
Oh dear.
Drog will come over to you and put his hand on your shoulder. It's like, from what I've heard is she's very intense.
If by intense you mean leaving you in the river tied up, saying, hey, get back to me by nightfall and trying to make it out alive, if you think that's intense, yeah, I would use that word too. She did that in our training.
You finally reach the city of Coldtide. Coldtide is a modest-sized town, walled on both north and southern sides, and there is a queue to get in as the border control seems to be checking everyone going in and out of the town. It is a neutral town where the governments of both north and south meet once a month to discuss matters of national level. I think we may have a problem here. Send them to interview room 3 and I'll handle the interrogation. Grog, his eyes are wide. He's like, guys, I don't mean to alarm you, but I think this room is enchanted to force everyone in it to tell the truth. I'm Mr. White, an agent for Southern Oldwater. I was informed of your coming and made sure that you were checked by some of my men. You can't stay in Coldtide for long. It's a dangerous city for people like you who are on such an important mission. He pulls from a pocket inside of his jacket a scroll.
I'll take it.
We've arranged for accommodation for you. That's under our protection. Go there, rest up, and in the morning leave town as quickly as you can without being suspicious.
What Alpheus would do, after having a bit of lunch, he will slip out the back of the inn for a bit.
You meet a very attractive looking half-elven woman. You're Alpheus, right? With the diplomat convoy?
Who's asking? I may know of that name.
I'm Agent Longbow of Hampstead, and I need to talk to you regarding the assassination of the Dwarven Prince and the threat that now looms over all of our heads. You know that Hampstead is the capital of the North, and she's admitted to being an agent of the North, just like the other fella told you he was an agent of the South. It's important that you know that Hampstead and the North were not responsible for the assassination, and yet we're being blamed for it. It would make no sense for us to assassinate the prince to stop the treaty, as all that would do is push the dwarves to further ally themselves with Bathmont. You have my word that we of the North are not going to stop you, and we're not going to interfere. We won't stop you making a trade agreement with the dwarves. It's not within our interest to let that agreement happen, but we just want the discussions to be kept strictly about business and not bring about any kind of formal military alliance. Cromdor is located right next to one of the largest population centers of the North, and if the dwarves join any possible war, thousands of innocent lives would be killed in the conflict. Just influence the diplomat. I mean, he's traveling with you, the dwarf. Make sure he understands what's at stake here. Express to him the importance of keeping it about business.
Okay, Longbow, I'll do that for you, as you're so pretty.
Alpheus, with his hood up and slipping through a back door thinking he's being real clever, suddenly finds himself getting yelled at by this annoyed middle-aged woman in the kitchen who chases him out with a rolling pin, and everyone notices.
Where were you? You were supposed to stay here.
I spoke to some people in the streets, weeks, met some people, did some things by someone who called herself Longbow.
Whatever she said, do not say anything to anyone. Do you understand?
I don't plan to.
Good boy.
Before I go to sleep, I cast Wild Instinct. It basically means that whilst I'm asleep, I don't take penalties on perception checks. I can't basically be surprised.
Frieda, you wake up the moment your window opens. No one's even in your room yet. Someone lands on the windowsill. You're
I
awake.
cast Itching Curse on them.
They managed to shrug it off. I'm sorry to startle you. We just want to talk.
Why are you here?
I'm a representative of the religious order, the followers of Saint Sung. We're a group completely unaligned to this entire north-south conflict that's brewing. The truth is, neither of them are responsible. There is a third party at work here. One who is intentionally aggravating the tensions and is responsible for the assassination and is causing both sides to blame each other. Problem is, we don't know who they are or why they're doing this, but we do believe that your group would probably be able to help us flush them out. We are willing to compensate you handsomely for your help. It's our sacred duty to prevent war and conflict wherever possible, and we typically serve as non-biased mediators and negotiators. Hence why I'm here today.
Barlam?
No, she gets out.
I'm going. I'm sorry for wasting your time.
Goodbye.
You wake up in the morning, you get your free breakfast, and you're able to carry on your way. The road passes through the edge of the dire woods, and following the road for several weeks to Wolf Hill, you see a small shrine by the side of the road.
Just pay your respects.
Alpheus, as you walk into the brush looking around, you're trying to be sneaky. Without warning, you get hit from multiple directions by multiple thrown weapons.
Suddenly ninjas!
One of them is going to rush at Drog with a short sword for a brutal wound.
I'm gonna do a tumbling arena row over Drog's measly shoulders, using him as a stepping stone to jump over this guy in arena with acrobatics.
I believe in you!
I will do a nice whirly-girly of my quarter-staffly, which you have a sneak attack.
You are flanking.
I move my mouth in different speed than my voice comes out. You are gonna die.
So Alpheus pretends to pull a blade out of his hand, but it makes a full beam of light and it turns into a trident.
It's a memento from Eliso.
Yeah. Alpheusina! And stabs him.
You stab this guy with this lightning trident, electrocute it, and they just drop to the floor.
I grab my bow and go for the one that's standing next to the dead one.
And he's gonna budge out.
Bye.
Drog will go over. It's like, we should tie him up, see who he is.
I tie a rope around him. Hello, wakey. Are you a bandit or part of some political organization?
Wouldn't you like to
Slap.
know?
Who do you work for? Slap.
Your mum.
Backhand slap.
Does the name Longbow mean anything?
Oh, that's a good one.
They just for a moment have a bit of a nervous look on their face.
I'll take that as a yes.
I slit his throat. Like, okay.
Drog's a bit horrified by this, but goes, this Longbow that you say he's working for, who is that?
Longbow was someone who kind of made out that you were a target, maybe.
Well, it makes sense. We know that the North don't want us to make an agreement with Cromdor. They're scared. If we get dwarven weapons and armor before the war, that's going to be a huge boon for our side. Plus, if the dwarves of Cromdor do want to get involved in the actual war, then we'll have an entire army right deep into their territory.
You don't have to make this all about fighting. I mean, when you get there, just, make it about business or something. Just talk.
My purpose is business, but if we can get stronger agreements, then that is what I will do. But it seems that the North are trying to kill me. They do not want this to happen, so I think we've chosen well hiring you lot.
So,
You have arrived at the small military outpost of Boarwatch. The buildings here have a log cabin feel to them, and it's quite a humble settlement with nothing really of great note, besides perhaps a shrine to the north of the outpost to the Fae of the Dire Woods.
I'd probably want to pay respects to the Fae, otherwise we're going to end up in trouble. And I just take out a plain large cake out of tin that I bought from the last city we're in and place it on the shrine.
Frieda bought a cake?
Plain one.
You notice as a couple fairies appear and are busy picking up the cake.
We should have got some fairy cake.
I look and say, hello in Sylvan. My name is Frieda. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, thank you very much. It's very kind.
We're just hoping that our travels don't upset you.
It's not a matter that we're going to be upset. It's a matter of the company you're keeping. And then he kind of looks at Alpheus.
Hello.
Oh, he's intelligent. He's a druid.
Almost so intelligent.
You see, these woods were kind of watched over by his old master, Koira. And she's a wee bit pissed about him ditching her after all she's done for him. She believes that one must survive, thrive, and triumph.
Well, thank you for the heads up.
He flutters down to your hand, puts something in it, and then just flies off. In your hand, you see there is a coin. The side you're looking at shows a part of the forest where the trees look like they have little doors in them, and there are some big mushrooms. If you turn the coin to look at the back, you'll see a scene of a small cliff area with a ledge that leads into a sizable cave.
Okay.
It's a treasure map.
Alpheus, you recognize these are places in the forest?
According to Alpheus, this is where the Fae live, looking on the coin. We should probably avoid that.
I make my peace with my gods and mutter to myself, if I die in forest, make sure that Drake, the youngest son, twice removed from me, from my second aunt, thrives and lives peacefully, and does not have the trouble and meet druids.
Let's stay the night in the tavern.
As you guys are sitting down around a table, you've got yourself some drinks, you hear a voice in your head, and it sounds like Cassandra. And she says, Alpheus, I got your letter. We need to speak in person. You said you'll be at Wolf Hill, right? I'll meet you there. Cassandra.
I'm hearing voices in my head, hang on. And then he responds.
I just look at Frieda and say, are you sure we can't just let him do this alone?
But he's helped us. We should at least help.
Has he?
What about your problems?
I have brought no problems.
Oh, really? What about that weird fellow from goodness knows where?
You mean Gnarly? He was not a problem, but going into a druid trial in the dire woods is a bit more of a problem.
Barlam,
Yes,
please don't leave me.
I won't.
Alpheus smiles at that. Thank you. And he feels quite ready for this trial, actually. He kind of cracks his knuckles a bit, and then he sends that message back to Cassie, I suppose. Hi, Cassie. We will speak soon. I'm on my way to Wolf Hill with Frieda and Barlam. Love with licks, Alpheus. P.S. I like bacon.
Oh, yes.
Today is the day you set off into the dire woods. It is a very long road to Wolf Hill, and this time of year tends to be pretty bad fog in the mornings. There is a strange tension in the air, and the horses are a little nervous as they trot along slowly in the fog.
I just wanted to say that before we head off, I'm casting Nature's Paths to instinctively knows the shortest, easiest, and fastest way through the wilderness. Try and hopefully avoid that Fae village.
Alpheus is going to cast Negate Aroma, see if he can hide everyone's scent.
Sounds like, a spoof spell. I'll take a bag of dried meat, like slices of dried jerky, which I have as rations, and I'll cast prestidigitation on that bag of things. I'll make them smell like Alpheus, and I'll throw those bits of meat on our way as we travel to throw off our scents.
More animals come and run away in different directions with it as you scatter it along, carrying the scent all over the place, far and wide. Throughout your time in the morning, you hear howls behind you, as you can only assume that they're chasing after the fake smells and getting confused. And suddenly comes an enormous black wolf with glowing red eyes, and in one swift motion scoops up one of your horses in its mouth. And seconds later, an even larger grey timber wolf appears, and both horses are taken as the giant wolves run off.
No! Alpheus falls to his knees. Not maple syrup and horsing around.
I'm guessing that was your master.
Yes, and that was her favoured wolf as well.
And I'm going to slip my arms around my frying pan because I'm suspicious.
Frieda, you can feel the eyes of the forest on you. Several times throughout the night, you see Barlam's spellbook slowly being pulled away. You manage to rush over and twat a fairy in the face with a frying pan.
And stay out.
everyone wakes up. It's still foggy as hell.
Barlam wakes up first.
You probably notice Alpheus is chasing after a leprechaun.
I'll cast Nature's Paths and Pass Without Trace before I turn into a horse.
As you're travelling along, you notice the ground looks off,
Don't alarm anyone, but the ground's pretty weak here.
which means you're able to chart a path around easily enough.
I see everything.
You guys notice 2 winged drakes flying straight towards you, getting ready to attack. Frieda, you've got the
Okay.
fastest reaction time, but you're a horse.
I have to sit there.
First one makes a move and tries to make a bite at Barlam.
Does
So
it take a bite of the thigh or of the breast?
if it's taken out half your health, it's going to be quite a lot of your body.
The other leg. Whoop!
This one is going to move in, but on its way down, it shoots out its acidic cloud.
Okay, everyone, they're flying closer. Ah!
There's also now an obscuring mist covering that entire area around you.
Alpheus is going to try and snowball this creature in front of him.
You, in an act of desperation, launch a snowball with such force it smacks the drake in the head, damn near knocking it to the ground.
Snuffles is going to rush in then.
Snuffles and Alpheus manage to rip this thing apart. Teapot can make a full round attack. So the bite attack misses, but both claw attacks hit and just tears huge chunks out of the drake and falls unconscious.
Alpheus will go over to the one closest to him and rip some meat off.
Barbecue tonight.
Yeah.
With that, you're able to get clear of the drake situation and carry on your bonny way. Alpheus, when you sleep, you see that place in the forest from the coin, and the last thing you see is the silhouette of a humanoid coming towards you. But then you are woken suddenly by Drog. You see a normal-sized wolf watching you with distinct black patterns around his eyes that almost look like glasses. It is one of the wolf shamans of Wolf Hill, someone who trained under Koira alongside you. His name is Nathaniel. All of you find that there are swarms of fire ants massing together, trying to engulf everything.
They don't like cinnamon and lemon juice, apparently.
There's
Oh,
not-
really? Is that from Wikipedia?
Yeah, but they're more interested in things like jam.
I'll make the area around the wolf smell like honey.
Nathaniel screams at them. Alpheus, why do you do this to me?
It's at that point Alpheus recognises him and goes, "Oh, that's Nate's scream, yeah. Hi."
Oh, that's definitely his scream. I've heard it before.
Oh dear God, it burns! He's gonna sprint out, and some of them cling to him.
Am I just a nemesis-making machine?
Nathaniel returns, really in a bad state.
Sorry, Nathaniel. Nate.
Koira is kind of furious and super impressed at the same time. She took your horses, which are alive by the way.
Alpheus sheds a single tear.
Maple syrup. Horsing around. They're alive.
She wants to be sure that your time away from her wasn't wasted. I've got to get going.
Any ideas of what she may have planned next?
I do have one thing I shouldn't tell you, but I will. If you want the beasts to leave you alone, go and speak with the wolf matriarch. If you want the Fae to leave you alone, go to their village. If you want the forest to leave you alone, go and speak with the guardian of the forest. And if you want to know more about your past, go and find the place where it all began. Gotta go, and runs off.
Where it all began. Where's
So-
that?
It's the same place that you dreamt of last night.
Actually, with the location on the coin, would I be able to use the spell to find that place? Alpheus recognised on the coin.
Place.
You do get a ping. If you were going to Wolf Hill, you'd pass by it.
Okay, let's go there then.
Yeah. On this day, the weather does indeed start to change. It's raining. Between the 4 of you, you are able to overcome everything that comes your way, even if you are getting worn down bit by bit. You lot finally reach the grove after a week of constant grief by the forces of nature. Throughout this time, Alpheus, you've been continuing to have dreams, particularly of this place that you're heading to. The plants in the area are overly vibrant and not quite the right colour. This is an area dense with wild magic. This is what magic is meant to be in the world without the tree of mana regulating and controlling it. So for this area to be so wild suggests that it has been disconnected in some way from the natural ley lines of the earth, whilst maintaining its connection to the arcane weave that spreads throughout the world. For the druids, this is both natural and unnatural at the same time. Alpheus, you notice that Snuffles is chased by an extremely cute and fluffy white rabbit with rabbit-sized antlers growing out of its head. The rabbit stops as he looks over at you and locks eyes on Alpheus. If it ain't that bloody fella with the dog head, you come here to clean up your mess at last, I hope.
What do you mean?
A few years back, here I was, minding my own business, being a regular old bunny and all that, with this great big bloody hole opens up in the grove and blast of magical shit burst out and gone did magic everything up, myself included. You were there, and you fell unconscious, you did.
Oh.
Then this dwarf lass showed up and took you off to some bloody old farm.
Do you mean Mistress
So
Koira?
you were messing with the powers of magic that you shouldn't have, and that's probably why you don't remember anything.
No, I certainly don't remember anything.
Are you chucklefucks gonna fix it?
We'll try thoughts and prayers and a petition.
I'm going to channel my thoughts and prayers now and see what I can do.
If you start any kind of magic shite, I'll slap you on the head.
Take your slap.
I'll take out my quarterstaff, ready for an attack of opportunity.
Alpheus will take off his wolf cloak. He will sit on the cloak, cross-legged, and put his palms onto the ground and starts to channel the energy around him, trying to coalesce it into some meaningful form.
As you reach out to the natural world, you start trying to strand the arcane weave back into the ley line. It's part spiritual, part arcane in nature, and on your own, this is extremely difficult as you are not an arcane practitioner. But you are trying to bring this area under control.
I'll slap him with my staff because I was readying for it.
This will disrupt your efforts, Alpheus. It's going to cause the energy that has kind of built up to discharge. Drog goes, Frieda, help Alpheus. I'll go take care of Barlam.
Yep.
Okay, so you wake up.
I'll say blairily, no magic, bad boy.
He was succeeding, wasn't he?
What? Not
I
here.
think you might have been a bit too hasty.
It's a shame Frieda didn't
Shame's
help.
on you.
You see a blue hedgehog just shoot past really quickly.
No, that isn't right.
You're too slow.
And like a real hedgehog, it's pooping whilst it runs.
I will have to inform Koira of this.
You know that Digby's farm is probably the closest place to here with any beds. You carry on for the next few days until you get to Digby's farm.
The wooden house itself is a really weathered red that's just dulled with time.
What do I know about brownies?
They are tasty.
Brownies are a very small, very discreet type of fae that like to live in people's houses. Say you leave a saucer of milk out for them, then they might come and say do all the ironing whilst you're asleep, but they don't like people talking about them.
And there's a brownie here we can apparently ask questions to.
In order to ask the brownies question, we probably need to leave that bowl of milk with a note. Does anyone have a large receptacle or something that I could put some water in and make wine?
Haven't we got one of the barrels we used to store water in for a trip?
Okay, I fill it up with water and then basically use that spell.
You now have an entire barrel full of wine that you would normally be able to pick up from Asda for like a £6 or something.
I taste it and use prestidigitation to make it awesome wine.
I want to leave a jar of wine underneath the porch with a little note written in Savan saying, "Hello, I have some questions for you and I just wanted you to answer them. If so, leave a note by my campsite. It's over there."
Digby, the guy who owns this farm, is extremely lazy and probably wouldn't come out of his house unless he has to. You do see a half-orc fella who's just rounding up the animals. You do manage to sneak past him and you leave the bottle, and as you're just about to slip away, the door to the farmhouse opens. There's a human male. He's quite overweight. He comes out and he's just smoking and enjoying the evening air. He doesn't notice you.
Alpheus has been watching the farmhand with suspicion, clearly not liking this guy, and then he sees this other guy comes out and he just says to Barlam, "It's Arthur Digby. He raised me for the past 2 years."
I shout at him drunkenly, "Hey, you wanna come and drink?"
What in the blue
it's your son
blazes?
Alpheus and me.
Leroy, go check out. What's that noise down there?
Oh, his
The,
name's Leroy. Ooh.
All right, you are, boss. And this half-orc comes down. He grabs a pitchfork Sir, you're clearly drunk. Please go away and go back to town.
You said your boss was Digby, right? He knows me. He'll be
And look at this
thrilled
man's nose.
to know
Look
I'm
at
here.
his nose.
Yeah.
Maybe once you've sobered up a bit.
Alpheus, okay, let's see him in the morning.
As you guys are still partying into the night, with the light of the fire keeping you guys warm and visible, you see a 2-foot-tall humanoid with a very large head and a very big smile on its face. Hi, you wanted to talk to me?
My name is Frieda. It's a pleasure to meet you. This is my friend Alpheus.
You used to live here a while back.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
It's a shame the way he treated you.
He treated me with love and respect and took me in. And I protected the farm, and he was happy about that. I mean, sure, I wasn't paid, and sure, he didn't feed me a lot of the time, but it was brilliant.
He just kind of took advantage of your hard work. He only paid you with
Life.
Not even that. It wasn't his choice to take you on. He was obligated to.
Which leads me to something I have to ask you, Lavender. A few years back, is it true that I was brought here by a vertically challenged dwarf?
You mean Koira?
Yes.
Yes, and demanded that you be taken care of.
Digby lied to me for
Well-
2 years.
Alpheus, my boy. It's so good to see you again. Haven't forgotten your manners since you've been away, I hope.
It's manners for you to offer us a drink. That's a bit rude, don't you think?
Who do you think you are coming into my home and telling me how to do things?
For the months that you did bring me up, I am thankful, but I no longer serve you drinks from your house. There, I said it.
Kind of goes red in the face a bit.
Are you okay, Aunt Digby?
Everything's fine.
Pull out a jar filled up with wine. Here, a gift.
I'd cast prestidigitation to make it taste and smell like shit.
He's just taking a sip of it when this happens. He spits it out. So disappointed in you.
You always were.
Better than the company that you keep.
The company I keep have saved my life a few times, and as I found out the other day, you did not. Goodbye, Alpheus leaves.
All around you are slopes and dips of various hills leading to the largest of the hills. It is a gentle slope with a humble village atop of it. Between you and the village is a huge-sized wolf and a dwarven woman standing next to it.
Koira.
Is that really her?
Yes, that is her.
She's surrounded by the 4 wolves that you know are the other wolf shamans that live here.
Is one of
And-
the wolves Nate?
Yes, the giant wolf walks forward.
You have done extremely well, young shaman and friends, and now it is time for your final test.
And as you look up, you now see a fucking tornado is starting to gather. One of the wolves cast obscuring mist.
Alpheus is going to use air geyser in the direction of the wolf, but hopefully to also blow away some of this mist.
You do manage to disperse the fog, but he was able to avoid getting launched by it. As Snuffles charges at Aldabra, he pins him under his foot.
A bow attack it is, so here goes.
Alpheus is going to shout, Koira, did you like the wolf-headed mug?
You manage to distract her enough that she drops the spell. Marvelous! She puts her hand on your arm and looks genuinely proud before she yanks your arm, spins, and hurls you over her shoulder in a quick judo flip, putting you onto your back, so she's standing over you. That was for running away. Let us return to my place, and I'll put the kettle on. Wolf Hill is a humble village with simple structures made of wood and stone. Koira takes you to her home, which is the largest in the village. You see your 2 horses outside, looking well rested and cared for. She has a large wooden table inside, capable of seating all of you. She is drinking her dwarfed up tea, of course,
yeah.
out of her wolf-headed crockery. Let us review how you all did with my challenge. It was my intention to strip you of your resources. However, you passed with flying colours. There were 4 locations in the forest I wanted you to visit. You ignored every single one of them. As you solved none of them, you completely failed that aspect of the test. Finally, we have the showdown itself. You passed that one with flying colours as well.
So do we pass overall then?
Indeed you did.
Alpheus brings out the tweeter thing and tweets, passed Koira's test, feel really happy. I do apologise, but I really had to find out who I was.
Well, I hope you managed to find out something.
I found out my name was Smaz Noctura. He tries to launch her into the nearby wall.
Alpheus, didn't you say a relative was going to meet you?
Yeah.
They said they'd meet you at the tavern. It's a pretty normal establishment. You're able to get yourself a drink, and you do see that Cassandra's there. She's currently accompanied by 2 other individuals. Alpheus, when you and Frieda show up, you notice immediately that this is not the tavern that you're accustomed to. It's called the Smouldering Shaman and has a picture of a burnt wolf that looks a lot like Nate. Cassandra comes over. Her hair's a distinct purple colour. Alpheus, or perhaps I should call you Smaz, eh? She gives you a big hug.
Can I call you Cassie?
Yes, certainly.
It's good to see you again. It's been like a year or something.
Hello, Cassandra. What were you wanting to discuss with us and not just Alpheus?
You know, he sent me a letter claiming to be my previously thought deceased twin brother, so...
Ah, brother. Apparently I'm a brother.
I look at Alpheus.
What?
She smiles. We lived in Pavoria and worked for the Malvania family, who were the largest and most powerful of the crime families that ruled the country. I served them as a spellcaster, and Saz served them as a beastmaster. He's able to take horrific creatures like the Bandersnatch and raise it from birth to be very loyal and very well trained. The monsters would only obey his orders. You're having memories of petting them and training them. You see a giant 6-legged beast with quills all along its back, and yet it rubs up to you. One day, the Don's son wanted to take the Bandersnatch out to terrorize some local brothel that had upset him the night before. Smaz refused to let him take the Bandersnatch. The piece of shit started to threaten Smaz, and the Bandersnatch got all aggressive. The idiot son just got too close, and, well, you see a dark-haired young man wearing a very expensive suit. The Bandersnatch burst free from its chain, and he proceeds to rip this man apart limb from limb. The Don will never let you live after this.
I remember.
He had one of his pets bring me a message apologizing and telling me to hide, and by the time the smoke settled, he was gone. No magic could track him.
Which means at some point I must have eaten this animus fruit and changed my head appearance and lost my memory and then ended up somewhere up here.
You chose to become an animus because it would strip you of your identity, that you would be an entirely new person. If you could find your way down to Pevanoctis, you can come home at any time.
Well, once I've done, I'll be down there.
You remember my bodyguard, right? You called him Greg.
Alpheus cast Snowball at him.
It just hits him. And of course, this fine gentleman here is Thunlenru Willowill, and she gestures to the elven gentleman. He turns his nose up at you. And this is Echo. Dave, why don't you describe what your character looks like?
Echo is 6'5" tall, and he's got like a large leather duster jacket on with a leather vest full of tools and jewels and bits and bobs, a shield and a hammer, and he's just looking at everyone because he's fascinated by all the different people.
What was your class?
Magus, sorry.
Magus. Okay, sorry, right.
Nice to meet you, everyone.
What's this about an artifact?
Me and Dr. Pigglesworth and a small clockwork owl comes over and sits on my shoulder.
Wow.
Yeah, it's familiar.
That's friggin' metal.
Dr. Pigglesworth, he's got a doctorate in ornithology, and he's got a top hat and goggles on, so he's proper steampunk.
Best owl ever. Better than Charles.
I've never seen a man of metal.
What is a man?
I woke up on the table 12 years ago, and I don't know what I am.
Ooh.
Oh, you are welcome to our accompaniment of people, I say, with a faraway gaze as I looked at the owl while trying to talk.
It did take me a long while to build them.
The High Elf gets up and looks to Cassandra. Consider what we talked about, and I'll be back in touch with you.
Wait a moment, what's this about an artifact?
As I told Mr. Echo here, my possessions are mine own, and if either of you would like to see or handle them, you would have to do something for me first. Travel north all the way to Raven Peak. From there you must find yourself a vessel and go and hunt a great whale that has been seen in these parts. It has consumed an artifact. Bring this artifact to me, and I shall help you.
Yes, I agree.
Very well. Once you've found this, you'll need to head to the capital city within Suramista. Head to the Willowill estate, and you shall be allowed in. And he starts casting a teleportation spell. Frieda, you notice that he is wearing wearing a ring that matches the same symbol as your amulet. As you notice this, his spell completes and he teleports away.
We have to go to Cromdor, and you shall come with us there, and we shall then accompany you to Raven Peak, to the Whale, and then Suramister.
Yes, Cassandra, what was it that you would like to discuss?
I noticed you were interested in Mr. Willowill.
I have my own artifact that I was looking into. I just show my necklace.
An Elven Union necklace, a symbol between two lovers that unite their houses.
It was given to me by my mother. My father gave it to her, that's as much as I know.
This particular necklace carries an enchantment of pregnancy protection. It is pretty clear that this is the symbol of the Willowill house.
Oh, glorious. I have really strange relatives.
I'm a collector and a seeker of artifacts, and then I'd look at Cassandra to say, you said you had an artifact?
I never said I had an artifact. She's not telling the truth.
A nod?
Let's go talk about this somewhere a bit more private. She's gonna lead you to her room. You believe I'm lying. She'll take out a large leathery book. You can't identify the language. As she's walking around, you feel a sudden wash of arcane magic hit you, and you slump onto the floor, unable to stand, as you fall asleep right there and then. And Cassandra stands over you. Do you know what it's like to lose a twin? No, I don't suppose you do, Tin Man. Mine has come back to me, and I am not going to lose him now. However, he's taken a shine to you, and that complicates things. We've got to stop you from telling him anything about this. From there, she places her palm on your head and channels a spell through it. You forget knowing that Cassandra has an artifact, and knowing that she lied to you. You do not remember what she has done, but you do remember wanting to talk to her in private. It's the morning, and you awake to the sound of Nate yelling, Alpheus! You've got to come quick. A cryptozoologist has just shown up in town, and Koira's out right now. You reach the docks, and you see that the other 4 wolf shamans are there with fold-out chairs and popcorn.
I like shows.
You look down on the waterfront, and you see a man is fussing with a gaudy caravan, coloured red with gold trim. Come one, come all, to the greatest exhibition this world has ever seen. I am Maurice Becknagel, the world's leading expert in the study of the Titan of the Tideless Sea. What the fuck is this? Koira has appeared. The water behind the docks has started to rise up and take the form of a huge humanoid figure. It's a water elemental, and it just reaches down and he launches the caravan over the sea, high into the sky, and she shoots an arc of lightning into the caravan, and it explodes as bits of wood, paper, and plushies come raining down on fire. You haven't heard the last about this? And he runs off as Koira shoots a small bolt of lightning by his feet, just to put a bit of fear into him. With that, she turns and walks off.
Alpheus is going to examine old sites, rekindle some memories from a few years ago, and show Cassie the area.
Barlam's just hanging out at the tavern. Drog's probably just hanging out as well.
I took wizardry and minor in boxing.
Oh, really? You're a boxer?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Alpheus is showing Cassie the various areas and reminiscing the fact that the Smouldering Shaman has replaced the place that was there before. It's like, a beholder ran that place. Can you believe it? And there's where I gave some bread to Mother Tabitha this one time, and I got some goods and took it back to Arthur Digby's farm, and we traded, and it was good. I used to come here to trade quite a lot from the farm.
What did this Digby do for himself?
He once gave me a cabbage for my fake birthday. When were you born, Cassie?
Our birthday is on the 17th of Azuba. It's a month and a half away. I'll be 26 this year, so you're 25.
Wow, I have an age now.
I'll be sure to get your birthday present.
I already have a present for you. He gives her one of the tidy plushes.
I'll treasure it always. She hands you a spell scroll. She's like, this is a scroll of sending. If something really bad happens to you, Smaz, I'd like them to message me. I will do everything in my power to come and bring you back.
Appreciated.
Hopefully see you soon.
Does Alpheus have a discussion with Koira, or does he leave without saying anything?
Everyone gets ready and goes. You quickly run to Koira's. She wants you to wing by the part of the forest where Roger lived. She wants to teach you and Frieda how to properly deal with wild magic. You head off, leaving Wolf Hill behind you. You pass by the kobolds at Digby's farm and chase them off. And we've got Echo and Barlam driving the wagon until you reach the river. You see that the bridge is out. There is a thin human man with a wagon full of cabbages. Are you here to repair the bridge?
We are not the company you called for.
The lazy-looking guy on the back goes, we could always take the secret tunnel through the mountains.
Oh, no. Is it shenanigans? I look at him.
There's no shenanigans here.
I'm going to send Mr. Pigglesworth through the secret tunnel to have a quick scout.
He actually lets you know that there are 2 people hiding on the other side of the secret tunnel.
Okay, I hide by the entrance and I summon as many bees as I can to fly off down the tunnel.
We'll dive at the bees with smoke.
You hear people going,
That's music to my ears.
Okay, the tunnel's clear now, so we can go.
You hear the unmistakable sound of a cart barreling towards you from behind. You hear the cabbage seller. We tried to convince you not to bring the diplomat to the dwarves. You brought this on yourselves. You're basically trapped at the bottom of a tunnel with a cart blocking your path and grease is everywhere. You hear him lighting a fire.
With my spellcraft, I'd like to make a panicked and hasty attempt of combining that grease which is here, my own grease spell, and spider climb into a funneled sort of Vaseline tunnel where our horses and carriage would go freedom of movement style, just gliding through.
You go up the side to the half pipe to avoid the obstacle. The fire is lit.
I would like to see the structural type of the cabin and try and smash it with my hammer so the cave collapses behind us.
Your hammer smashes the ceiling and the rocks collapse down and block the fire. You manage to see a perfectly shaped rock, conveniently ramp-shaped. Alpheus guides the horses forward as the wagon lifts off the ground, is sailing overhead. You land and you manage to get out to the other side.
Ah, yeah.
You now have a new wagon after blowing up your old wagon. Oh, and that comes with 2 horses as well, so you now have 4 horses.
Can we name them?
How about the main attraction?
And,
Hey Girl.
no.
Pony Soprano.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You find an area that's been flattened out and decorated as a large rock sits in the middle of it with a beautiful looking sword wedged into it.
There's a sword in the stone thing.
In the rock it says, whomever removes the legendary blade Excalibur from its prison shall be the true king of all the lands.
I'm gonna try put it out. I'm feeling lucky.
It slides straight out of the rock that it was in prison. And there's a triumphant and magical fanfare as the light shines down upon you and the sword speaks, all hail Barlam, true king of the lands. I am Excalibur, and the fact that you hold me is proof that you're true king of all the lands.
It's mine.
Whoever pulls it out automatically is cursed and cannot use any other weapons until they break the curse by putting it into another stone. But whenever it's drawn from the sheath, there's a loud trumpet sound. It will make commentary on the entire fight about these enemies are not worthy of a king.
I say to Frieda, you had stone shape, right?
I'll make it look like fabulous stone mount.
I shove it in and spit on it. Well, that was fun.
So you lot camp for the night. Echo, you spend a lot of time studying your orb. Yep, there's something different. One of the symbols on it is lit up and has a faint purple glow. And the symbol itself is a fancy looking spiral. The orb has never done anything like this before. There's no incidences overnight. Every day, Alpheus generally updates his druid slab.
Yeah.
You see a new notification from an archdruid that you don't know. The message reads, the Spring Fertility Festival is only 5 days away. The closest one to you is Skavass.
Oh man,
But I wanted to go to the orgy.
I've been so frustrated this spring. Oh.
Man.
And a few more days go past and things are pretty peaceful. You're now making it out of the forest. You do know that the village of Timberham is nearby.
We shall continue to watch Crumdor.
You hear what sounds like a rumbling thunder. You eventually see behind you about a dozen full-blooded orcs wearing armor and brandishing weapons on the backs of dire boars. As you try to move the wagon and horses out of the way.
I take the orb out of my chest.
That's now pulsing with energy as he lifts it up and tries to aim it towards the oncoming orcs. Everyone except for Echo make a will save.
15.
16.
A wave erupts out of it. Every single one of you are hit by an intense wave of ecstasy.
Oh.
All the riders fall off of their mounts and cry out in pleasure. These themselves fall to the floor. Everyone in your party is affected by this except for Echo. The orb has stopped glowing now. It's completely inert.
We shall have a talk about shenanigans after I'm done.
I'm just going to take out my notebook and let's make notes to go, alright, okay.
What happened?
I've been doing research on certain artifacts and accidents happen.
One happened to me. Alpheus writes a message on the tree face thing. In response to that message, like, don't worry, just had a release. I'm good. Smiley face. I'm done now. I'm done.
This is even funnier because the location we're near is the Moaning Heights.
And so you carry on your way, and you're not far now from the city of Stormbarrow.
I just sit up straight and say, something sounds weird.
A number of rocks are falling. It is an avalanche. Amongst the sound of the rumbling, we hear, "Your time has come, evildoers, for the 1-2 king has arrived." You see, above the avalanche coming towards you, 2 griffins, each with a rider. Alpheus, you can see that they're dressed like the assassins that you've been dealing with.
They found a sword, I say.
Alpheus is going to use Air Geyser towards the rocks.
It strikes him as Wilhelm's scream falls to his death as the avalanche consumes him.
I am going to get on top of the cart and then, seeing the properties of the ecstasy spell, I'm going to try and figure out a way to do a spellcraft check. So I'm going to try and get them horny to make them go faster.
So now you're being pulled by 4 very horny horses chasing after an illusionary mare. They are going as fast as they can. You're leaving the assassins behind.
Bye.
I'm going to go, I'll catch you up and jump off the cart. Do shock shield. I'm going to wait till it comes into range with the griffin, and then I'm going to use shatter on the griffin and the rocks.
Avalanche, get as close as possible to you. Cast the shatter spell at the biggest freaking boulder that you can, launching all of those rocks upwards and at the griffin.
Like Alpheus did with his wind spell.
He is going to fall out of the griffin and then got consumed by the avalanche. He is dead, and the sword accidentally got wedged into a stone.
Now I'm going to use my owl to take it out.
The owl is now cursed. The avalanche comes to a stop and you pull yourself out of the rocks.
Definitely going to backtrack to where Echo was.
We are not going to take that sword with us.
Well, it's in the bag holding now.
Why are you creating more shenanigans?
I'm not creating shenanigans. I'm a cursed item. It's come back to us. And then it fell into other people's hands and using it for evil, so that's why I put it in the bag. So it's a new subject.
Is that the same reason you collected the orb, which also created shenanigans?
Well, technically my master gave me the orb to figure it out before he died, so it was the last thing he ever gave me.
Pickles were this free of the sword or what?
Yes.
He picked up the rock with the sword and put it in the bag. The entire road is now blocked.
I walk around and try and find a goat or something.
So you're able to get close enough that you can now cast Speak with Animal.
Hello. There was an avalanche. I'm just wondering if you know another way round.
He's standing there, slowly chewing. There's a lake over there. It might get you out of these mountains.
That lake looks like there might be some flattish ground that we can go around. Thank you.
The characters we meet. We can find a route through the mountains.
You are able to find a passage, but you'll be going along very narrow ridges. How do you plan on getting your wagon and horses through this area?
Let's take horses and go single file. We're ditching the wagon. We're going to take all the valuables and stuff we need from there and go.
The clouds overhead open up a torrential downpour. Alpheus's horse takes a step forward, and the side of the narrow ridge that you're walking along crumbles under its foot, and the horse is about to fall.
I cast Spider Climb on it.
Easy solution.
I was running Pony Soprano.
Pony Soprano falls to its death.
Alpheus is going to cast Entangle out of the rock to see if it can catch the horse.
Vines shoot out from the mountain wall and wrap around the horse, catching it.
And I rolled an 8.
So main attraction goes over. You jump out and you manage to shove your hammer into the mountain.
I was going to offer a rope to our slowly falling friend.
Thank you.
Thunder rumbles overhead.
There's a cave, something in the rocks where we could actually shelter ourselves until the worst of the storm passes.
Lead us there, you sly dog.
You find yourself in a cave. One of the walls is covered in ice. There's both stalagmites and stalactites, but it doesn't seem all that natural.
There's giant talon marks.
I see.
I suspect an ice dragon.
Probably a white dragon. You see a large chamber at the back with a substantial amount of treasure filling it.
Yeah.
Your owl does not see any dragon. You found an ornate amber clasp with an ancient fossilized insect embedded into the amber, which has a long golden pin that fastens to a wearer's cloak. You have found +1 studded leather armor and a wand of scorching ray, a gurgling luminescent golden elixir you identify as an elixir of dragon.
Hey!
That allows you to breathe fire. Drog's gonna pipe up. It's like, well, if we're gonna take the dragon's treasure and stay in its home, maybe we should prepare an ambush just in case it does come back.
Yeah, like behind the corner in the treasure room.
So, Frieda, you hear the dragon slowly creeps into the cave. This is a weird sounding dragon.
It is.
I say to everyone, prep, it knows we're here.
I shall cast grease. I just whisper, ignite the grease.
Alpheus will spark it if that's all it takes.
There's rumbling as it bursts out of the wall and attacks Alpheus.
My, what big teeth you have!
It hits you for 19 points of damage.
Ow.
Frieda has cast Flaming Sphere, but it fails to get through its spell resistance. It spins around and spews a cone of ice, engulfing most of the party for 10d6 damage. Drog summons a direwolf, which means Frieda, so you get to turn into a small fire elemental. She flies around the battlefield to get up close to the dragon and runs in and makes a slam attack.
And I do sneak attack and Scorching Ray does fire.
Swift action first. Give me the +1 on the hammer.
So that will make your weapon both magical and deal 1d6 fire damage.
Yeah,
And
Scorching Ray.
that's the hardest hit so far,
I will first do Fire Belly,
but does very little damage.
and now I'm going to use a hero point for another standard action. I'm going to do Sky Swim
Okay.
on the dragon.
What, is this like a levitation
Yes.
where he's
Floating.
helplessly goes, "Eh."
It has to actually succeed at swim checks to move as normal as well.
What?
Okay, cool. And now I'm going to use my other hero point to get another standard action.
Alpheus is going all out.
And I'm going to use Gusting Sphere to try and push the dragon into the fire without control over itself.
What?
Nicely done.
So you've pushed him into the fire as it lets out a horrible screech of pain. You killed a dragon. Barlam, you know that there is considerable power in the heart of a dragon.
Oh. Alpheus, do you want a piece?
Yeah, boy.
Nom nom nom.
Many claim that one might gain the power of a wish this way. So, Barlam and Alpheus, what would you wish for?
As I feel the power surging in my veins, lifting me off the floor.
I say, what I really wish for is to be able to get out of harm's way once per day.
Alpheus thinks about Cassandra and all that, and he's like, I want a tail that can hold a weapon, maybe. He's realised that he's incomplete without a tail.
Both of you can understand the dragon language. Barlam, you gain the ability to use Dimension Door once a day. Alpheus, you grow a large Shiba Inu tail. For all intents and purposes, you have grown a new prehensile limb. It is curly and fluffy. Echo, you notice that your orb is glowing. You step outside and take a look at it, and you see that one of the symbols looks like a quaver, the musical note, not the type of crisp. Furthermore, there is a slight yet pleasant melody emitting from the orb. Next thing you know, you're all out in the rain, standing before a large city gate.
We're here.
I sigh heavily.
Where is here?
Some guards are standing at the gate. Witchcraft! Sound the alarms! Elder Spell is attacking! The sergeant groans and he lights up a pipe.
I light up mine.
Everyone, you can see there is something very familiar about this sergeant. Barlam, you recognize this man instantly as your older brother, Jeff. Can't say I was expecting to see you this far north.
Me neither. Where are we exactly?
This is Stormbarrow. You knew that if you kept in touch.
I try to keep in touch, but...
He kind of looks at you, looks at the group, looks back at you and goes, shenanigans, right?
Yes, shenanigans.
So where was Stormbarrow in relation to where we're going?
It's pretty much the last settlement between you and Cromdor. You do notice Drog has quickly put up a disguise spell to make himself not look like the dwarven diplomat that the North is trying to kill.
Jeff,
He's not opening the gate.
remember that one time when I escorted you out of your own wedding? It was a bit of a bummer because Mum said you should marry the girl with the big eyes and everything, but she was pretty stupid and you wanted out and I helped you out, literally. How about us calling even Stevens on that? If we can stay here for one measly night.
We'll let you guys come in, but you can stay on my place, and tomorrow I'll walk you guys over to the west gate. You enter the city of Stormbarrow. It's got a much more down-to-earth feel with strong stone buildings, thatched walls, dirt roads. It's far less fantastical than many of the other ones you've been to. Alpheus and Echo definitely stick out like a sore thumb.
I start waving at the people as they stare in and get Mr. Pillsville to tip his hat.
You eventually get to Jeff's place, which is a nice-looking cottage. There you're welcomed by a middle-aged human woman wearing a simple tan dress. Well, I'll be damned. It's like looking at a younger version of my old Jeff.
Are you Jeff's missus then?
Yes, I'm his wife. We've been married for 20 years now.
Oh, that's lovely.
How are you, Jeff? Your wife just called me Barlam. I thought we got rid of that nickname when I was a kid.
It was that or Barlam. I don't think you look quite so much like a little lamb anymore.
We called him Bar Lad once.
Yes. Is there a really awkward sounding clock on the wall?
Oh, definitely. So awkward.
I look at him in the eyes.
John's currently dealing with his kids, you know, Amy and Isaac.
What about
Jeez.
Jerry? Alpheus
Why did
writes...
my mother give me birth?
I think she was drunk at the time.
Drunk when I was conceived or when I was born?
Both.
Yeah, both.
Alpheus stands up at this point and starts doing the YMCA. Hey, Alpheus.
There is a beat one playing the pots and pans.
So you have a pleasant enough evening. You wake up to the smell of fresh coffee and pancakes.
Do you know what they call pancakes made by a very manly person?
Man cakes.
Yes!
Jeff is readying your horse and cart. You're off to Cromdor then?
Yeah.
He hands you a small snuff that matches your pipe in design. I want you to hold on to it.
What's our family name?
Wow.
Why are you asking?
Because I don't remember. My last name is Malrab. No, goodbye.
And you set off on your way. After a day of travel, you reach a fork in the road. A sign indicates that the southern path leads to Cromdor, whilst the western path leads to Molia. What's more is, Lastig Gruppy is quite well known around here, thanks to your work capturing the criminal who assassinated the prince, so they kind of want to give us the royal welcome, as it were.
I guess that's the dwarf's name for us. Thanks, Drog.
The gates are thrown open and trumpets bellow as soldiers line up to either side of your path into the fortress. Your escort leads you through to where you find a welcoming party waiting for you, but only one of them you recognize, a dwarven man with a long red beard that has been magnificently braided with gems and jewels. The last time you saw this man, he was dead and face down on the floor of the coach house toilets, having just been assassinated. Prince Dirk von Adamanthammer. First of all, I want to say thank you.
How are you alive?
Didn't my men tell you? They took me to Angel Island where they paid the nuns there to bring me back.
Anyway, glad to see you alive after a political assassination which might beget war. What next?
We're preparing a banquet in your honour and your payment for bringing Mr. Drog here.
Thank you.
You have to try some Cromdor fried centipede whilst you're here. The tunnels are lit onto the rock walls on one side, whilst on the other side a small river flows through. You're carrying on going through such tunnels for a while until you finally reach a large open chamber with a large waterfall coming in from the top. You see a whole slew of forges, blacksmiths, foundries. This is the center of Krondor, the heart of the entire city, to a large palace that overlooks everything.
I think we were told to stop the war.
Drog speaks up. The purpose of my visit here is to set up an alliance between Bathmont and Krondor, maybe a military alliance.
I hope whatever you decide leads to a good alliance between people. War is never a good thing.
You eventually get into the palace. You are brought into a large feasting hall. There is the ample feast spread out with all manner of dwarven cuisine and some foreign food that's been brought in. They have entertainment on, so you see some bards and performers. Echo, a well-dressed dwarven lady, the princess of the royal family, Magnilda, kind of pops up and starts prodding and poking your metallic body. Seems very interested in your construction. She just asks, is this armor or your person underneath, or is this your skin? What's going on here?
This is your only chance to sing I am Iron Man. So
I am me, the great artificer, Brigand made me, and he made my friend as well, and I'll bring down Dr. Pigglesworth.
She's absolutely smitten with this little robotic owl.
I want to know the Queen's name.
Walter von Adamanthammer.
The king's name?
Abelard von Adamanthammer.
I raise my cup to the king and queen and thank them for inviting us to the feast.
Alpheus cheers you for that.
Everyone else cheers as well. And that is where we will end it for this season.
Cool.